There's a photograph circulating right now that most people scroll past without understanding what they're looking at. It shows twisted metal in the snow, smoke still rising. Russian media crews standing around it, cameras rolling, telling their audience this is a destroyed Ukrainian air defense system. A victory, proof of Russian precision. But there's something in the frame they didn't see. A detail in the wreckage, identification markings barely visible under the burnt paint. Technical specifications that don't match anything in Ukraine's arsenal. This wasn't a Ukrainian system. It was an S-400 Triumph, Russia's own billion-dollar air defense platform, the same system they've spent 2 decades marketing as untouchable. The invisible shield that was supposed to protect Russian airspace from anything that West could throw at it, Russia just shot down its own legend. And they stood in front of the wreckage, trying to spin it as a win. That image isn't just a mistake. It's a window into something much darker, a pattern that's been building for months, hidden in casualty reports and intercepted radio chatter. What you're about to hear isn't speculation. It's documented, and it suggests that Russia's greatest enemy right now isn't Ukraine, it's itself. Let's start with the conditions on the ground, because this is where the human element breaks down. Minus 20 degrees Celsius across the eastern front. Ground frozen, harder than concrete. In those conditions, your fingers stop working first. Then your judgment, according to a January 21st report from Ukrainian Joint Forces. Russian troops stationed around Selnikovo are experiencing something worse than cold. They're experiencing total communication collapse. The 69th Division and 82nd Motorized Infantry Brigade that are supposed to be coordinating tell each other apart anymore. The report uses a phrase that should chill anyone who understands military operations. Attack groups are confused. Here's what that means in practice. 2 Russian battalions' first and third attempt to enter the same position simultaneously. Neither knows the other is coming. They see movement. They open fire. Both battalions take heavy casualties. Not from Ukrainian forces. From each other, a Russian soldier in a trench sees a drone overhead. He pulls the trigger, shoots it down. Then the radio crackles. You just shot down one of ours. This isn't isolated. In recent 24-hour periods, the number of Russian soldiers killed by their own artillery has begun to rival those killed by Ukrainian fire. But you might be thinking, friendly fire happens in every war. Fog of war. Mistakes under pressure. That's true, except the numbers coming out of Ukraine have crossed from tragic accident into something structural, something that points to a system eating itself approximately 20% of Russian aircraft. Shot down during this war weren't hit by Ukrainian missiles, they were shot down by Russia's own air defense systems. 1 in 5. Think about that ratio for a moment. When a Russian pilot takes off, there's a 1 in 5 chance that if he doesn't come home, it's because his own side killed him. Not Ukraine's Patriots, not their UNASAMIST, the S-400 batteries deployed to protect him. So why is this happening? The technical answer is IFF systems, identify friend or foe, digital. Handshakes that tell a radar whether the object in the sky is friendly or hostile. But here's where it gets complicated. Russia's electronic warfare is so intense, so chaotic, that it's jamming its own communication channels. The electronic fog they created to blind Ukraine is blinding them too. S-400 radars can't read the IFF signals from their own aircraft. Every object on the screen becomes a potential threat. Now add psychology. Ukraine has been systematically hitting Russian air defense positions in Crimea with Storm Shadow and attack missiles. These aren't random strikes. They're designed to create trauma. To make Russian operators afraid, imagine you're sitting in front of an S-400 radar screen. You know Ukrainian missiles are hunting you specifically. A missile could hit your position in the next 60 seconds, and you'd be vaporized before you heard it coming. An unidentified object appears on your screen. Do you wait? Do you verify? Do you follow protocol and request confirmation? Or do you fire immediately, because hesitation might mean you're already dead? Russian operators have made their choice. Shoot first. Ask questions later. And in that panic reflex, everything in the sky becomes a target, including their own pilots. But this still doesn't explain why the IFF systems are failing so catastrophically. Why the radars can't process the data they need to make those microsecond distinctions between friendly and hostile. For that, we need to look inside the wreckage. not just of the S-400A in the snow, but of Russia's entire military-industrial complex. Russian Defense Minister Andriy Belesov recently made an announcement with enormous numbers attached. He said that in 2026, Russia will deliver 310,000 pieces of equipment and 21 million weapons to the army. It sounds overwhelming, a war machine running at full capacity. But look closer at what those numbers represent. Artillery shells, rifles, unguided bombs, Cold War mass production. What's missing? Semiconductors? Russia's domestic microchip production dropped 12% last year, down to 7.5 million units. And those chips? They're performing at the level of Western technology from the 1990s. We're talking 19-nanometer, 118-nanometer architecture, Stone Age by modern standards. An S-400 system, just the radar unit alone requires thousands of high-performance semiconductors. Russia can't produce them, and because of sanctions, they can't import them from Taiwan or South Korea. So what are they doing? Here's where the story crosses from military analysis into something almost absurd. Except it's documented in field reports and photos from destroyed Russian equipment. Washing machines are being dismantled, refrigerators, dishwashers, the simple chips inside designed to run a spin cycle or regulate temperature, being soldered into military radios, into guidance systems, into the processors that run S-400 radars. A washing machine chip is designed to operate within a narrow temperature range, doing one simple task. But if you put that chip into a radar system that needs to calculate the microsecond difference between a friendly aircraft's IFF signal and an enemy missile, it will fail. It will overheat. It will lock up. And when it fails, the operator sees only one thing on his screen: unidentified object. That Russian S-400 operator in the snow near Luhansk, one who fired the missile that destroyed his own system, probably didn't make a mistake. He followed his training. He saw an unidentified threat. He eliminated it. The mistake was made months earlier in a Moscow factory, when someone soldered a refrigerator chip into the brain of a billion-dollar air defense system. This is an army fighting a 2020s war with 1990s technology scavenged from kitchen appliances, and that's only half of the collapse. While Russia is engaged in technological scavenging, Ukraine is fighting a completely different war. More shells, more soldiers, more steel. Ukraine's doctrine, data. Ukrainian Defense Minister Rustem Umerov made a statement that belongs in history books. He said that by 2025, Ukraine's unmanned systems will have destroyed or neutralized 820,000 Russian targets. 820,000 targets. That number is close to the total Russian force on the front lines. These weren't soldiers killed in firefights. Many were eliminated by systems they never saw. While sleeping, while eating, while waiting in trenches, thinking they were safe. How is this possible? Ukraine has connected every soldier, every drone, every satellite in orbit into a single software network. The system is near autonomous. Here's how it works. A Russian tank starts its engine. A satellite in space detects the heat signature. AI processes the image, determines coordinates, and sends the information to the tablet of the nearest Ukrainian artillery unit. Time elapsed. Minutes. Russia's equivalent process. Hours. Sometimes days. Orders get lost in hierarchical command structures. Radios don't work. Coordinates are wrong. Russian artillery ends up pounding empty fields. Or, worse, because of incorrect data, they hit their own units. The technological gap has become so extreme that Russia has started looking elsewhere for help. Dmitry Medvedev, a former Russian president, current deputy chairman of the Security Council, recently visited North Korea, and he said something that should make anyone pause. We have a lot to learn from North Korea. They taught us how to build a defense industry under complete blockade. Read that again. Russia, the country that put the first man in space, that maintains the world's largest nuclear arsenal, is now looking enviously at North Korea's 1950s era munitions factories. This isn't an alliance. It's a confession. Russia's industry can't keep up. They're losing billions of dollars in equipment and can't replace it. So they need Kim Jong-un's artillery shells from the Cold War. This is what technological collapse looks like. Not dramatic, just desperate. But here's where the story shifts from documentation to prediction, because Ukraine has seen the cracks, and they're preparing to widen them. Ukraine's next phase isn't about fighting Russian soldiers in trenches. It's about weaponizing the paranoia that's already there. The strategy is called saturation. Flood Russian airspace with cheap decoy drones, hundreds of them. Overwhelm the radar screens. Russian operators, already traumatized, already working with overheated processors and 1990s level software, will see their screens fill with targets. They won't be able to tell real threats from fake ones.